Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Emily Anderson with FranNet, and I'm really excited to introduce you to a new franchise opportunity. And I've invited Justin LaCava, who is here, and he's going to be speaking to it. Just real quickly, I wanted to share why we chose this specific concept to feature today. It's really the only brand that offers both small group and one-on-one experiences. And experience is no small word. What we're seeing is, and more people are spending their hard-earned dollar on experience over the widget, if you will. And state-of-the-art studios, which Justin's going to tell you about, membership model. We really like franchise concepts with recurring revenue, no accounts receivable. It's really scalable, so there's a lot of multi-unit opportunities that are available. And of course, this has been the trend for years and years and years now, is semi-absentee ownership, where the demands on your time and energy are more part-time, so you can keep perhaps a full-time salaried position, enjoy a lot of flexibility or semi-retirement, which has been a huge trend for years. And we will be opening it up for Q&A toward the end. But first, hey, Justin, I am going to hand it over to you to tell us about StretchLab.
All right. Well, Emily, thank you so much for the kind introduction. And to everybody that has dialed into the call today, or maybe listening a little bit later at lunch, thank you so much for your time. I know that it's not always easy to break away from the daily hustle to learn a little bit about a new topic. So again, my name is Justin LaCava. I'm here to proudly represent one of our brands, which is StretchLab. Here at StretchLab, we offer assisted stretching services in two formats, as Emily had mentioned, both in a one-on-one format as well as a small group format. And before I dive into StretchLab, I would like to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about our parent company, which is Exponential Fitness, and that's the company that I work for. I personally have been in franchise development for about 16 years now. 11 of those years have been in boutique fitness. So I've been pretty fortunate to see and really be on the front lines of fitness, and have witnessed this monumental shift towards boutique fitness and away from traditional gyms like Bally's Total Fitness or your YMCA's. And I think it makes a lot of sense, regardless of your age, regardless of your gender, regardless of your athletic ability. I think more and more people are taking ownership of their health and their wellness. And if we're investing 4, 5, 6 hours of our week to being more active and to being more healthy, we want to get results, right? I think that goes without saying, right? We want results, but we don't want to spend 4 to 5 hours a day in a gym. I think nobody wants to do that, but I think we're okay with maybe spending 45 to 50 minutes and getting highly effective or efficient or specialized workout, which is what you'll find in not only StretchLab, but a lot of the other brands that we're developing here at Exponential Fitness. But equally as important in getting results, we want to have fun, right? Because if it's not fun, we're going to get bored, and if we get bored, we're just going to move on to something else. So having a fun, enjoyable, customer experience, is very important. As Emily had mentioned earlier, people are starting to put a lot more value on experiences when they're making purchases of the products and services. And what's also great too is you'll find in a lot of our businesses here at Exponential Fitness, there's a very strong community of like-minded individuals. So as you're coming to StretchLab, multiple times a month or multiple times a week, you're making a connection to the person behind the front desk or the person, on the other bench, right? They're becoming your friends, and, those connections and that community is a big part of, I think holds, people accountable. I just think the boutique fitness business model is really delivering on these elements in a much more effective and efficient way than the traditional gym currently does and has in the past, which again is why we've seen this monumental shift towards boutique fitness. And just to give you guys some insight, over the last 10 years, boutique fitness facilities have been adding locations at a rate of roughly 450% a year. And there's no signs of that slowing down anytime soon. While in the traditional gym space, we've seen a lot of brands like a Bally's Total Fitness or a Gold's Gym consolidate or even decline in some cases. Memberships have also grown substantially in boutique fitness. Over the last few years, memberships have grown by more than 70% in boutique fitness. And at that same period of time, memberships in the traditional gym model have only grown by about 5%. And you'll find a lot of these trends are being driven by millennials. Right? Your oldest millennial is about 38, so they're not all young in age. Your youngest millennial is about 17. And when you evaluate customer segments within those age ranges, again, they put a lot of value on experiences. They put a lot of value on community, much more than they do, on buying a pair of shoes, so to speak. And the good news is they make up the largest consumer buying group in our country right now, and their buying power is going to more than double over the next 20 years. And the generation right behind them, Generation Z, share a lot of the same consumer sentiments. All right, so if anybody on this call is looking at, building a sustainable business, it might be important to kind of target that customer group. So here at Exponential Fitness, put simply, we're a curator of boutique fitness brands. Sorry about that feedback there. I think that takes care of it.
No,
so here
I
at
was
Exponential,
reading the lines. Actually, hey, Justin, can we pause for just a second, because I see somebody typed into the comments that they're still seeing the title slide. Now, I'm seeing a black slide that says Exponential Fitness. Is that what we should be on?
That's right. Yeah, we're still on the Exponential Fitness slide.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. So yeah, it's just I do like to talk versus kind of reading through a bunch of slides. So I'll be moving them as we move on to a few different topics. So here at Exponential Fitness, we're, put simply, a curator of boutique fitness brands. And we're developing 8 different concepts right now. So in addition to Stretch Lab, we're also developing Row House, which is a high-intensity interval training program that's very authentic to the sport of rowing. AKT, which stands for Anna Kaiser Technique. It's a unique workout program that incorporates dance and cardio and strength-based workout routines. It's not a dance party, but it's just as fun, as a dance party, and it's an incredibly effective workout. We're also developing a concept called Stride, which is treadmill training for runners, walkers, and joggers. So it helps you progress to become, a better jogger and turn a better jogger into a better runner. So if you're someone that's, training maybe for a marathon or a 5K or 10K race, Stride is a great opportunity for you. So those would be our 4 emerging brands. And then we also have 4 pillar concepts, which include Pure Barre, Club Pilates, which offers reformer-based Pilates, Cycle Bar, which offers indoor cycling, and also Yoga 6, which is, I think, a good way to describe Yoga 6. It's basically yoga without the Sanskrit. It really focuses more on the athletic parts of yoga and kind of gets away from the mystical and spiritual components of yoga. Now, some of our brands are a little bit further along in development than others. Pure Barre and Club Pilates both have over 500 locations open and operating. Cycle Bar has about 200 locations open and operating. And some brands we're just beginning our national rollout with, like Stride, for example, which has 1 location currently open, and we just began to offer Stride about 30 days ago. But across all 8 of our brands, we have over 1,500 locations. So Exponential Fitness is the largest boutique fitness company in the world. And everybody on the phone right now, you probably have never heard of Exponential Fitness, and you really wouldn't as a customer, but on the business side of fitness, on the franchise world of fitness, Exponential is very well known because the We are the largest, and the second largest brand would be Orange Theory Fitness, for example, which has about 800 locations open and operating. And we're currently opening up about 20 to 30 new locations every single week across all of our 8 brands. Now, all of this growth that we're seeing, as I mentioned earlier, is being driven by millennials. Boutique fitness facilities are adding locations at a pretty fast rate. But despite all of this growth, we're still very early on in development. And I know that might seem a bit counterintuitive to say, but when you evaluate all these different verticals in fitness, you'll find that they're very fragmented, with very few brands that have a true brand power, a true national presence, true national systems and processes and tools and support. And most of those brands, again, are being owned and developed by Exponential Fitness. But in most markets, you'll find multiple locations across multiple brands. So towards the end of this year, Exponential Fitness is going to be implementing a premium membership. So let's say, for example, you were to come on board and become a franchisee with StretchLab or any of our other concepts. You would be able to sell your customers a membership to your studio, but in addition, you could sell them a premium membership. And basically what your customers are doing is they're buying additional class credits through that premium membership, which they can then use to take classes at any of the Exponential brands. So we see this platform of brands as just the next evolution here in boutique fitness, and a great way for us to deliver more of what people want, right? More specialized workouts, more variety, more communities, more experiences in a much more affordable and a much more accessible and a much more convenient way. Because right now, interestingly enough, most people already have multiple gym memberships. My girlfriend's a great example. She goes to Orange Theory Fitness. She has a membership to Pure Barre. She has a membership to LA Fitness, which is a big box gym, and once a month she tries to drag me into a hot yoga class. And I do something similar. I like the higher intensity interval training programs of fitness myself. So I do a lot of CrossFit. I belong to a local boxing gym. I belong to LA Fitness. I do go to that yoga class once a month with her, right? So we do a lot of different things. So variety is very important. So I think through this platform of brands and through this exponential pass, as we're calling it, we can give people more variety. And that variety is going to help them stay engaged. Now, what I especially love about StretchLab and how StretchLab, fits into this platform of brands is that stretching is hands down the most complimentary service that we have. And stretching is very ancient, right? People know what stretching is. You would never see anybody or hear anybody say, oh my gosh, don't stretch. That's horrible for you. Right? If you ask 1,000 people if they believe stretching is beneficial to a healthy lifestyle, all 1,000 people are going to nod their heads and say, yes, of course it is. So we have a highly educated market right now in this world of stretching. But this idea of assisted stretching is relatively new. But the good news is it has such a simple promise in fitness. And that promise is if you are tight, which everybody is, and the older we get, the tighter we get, if you come into StretchLab, if you get on our bench, and if you experience an assisted stretch, it only requires that one single experience for people to have this revelatory understanding of just how beneficial an assisted stretch can be. And we're already seeing this play out in our stores across the country, because we're converting those people at a very high percentage. And as part of your discovery process, should you decide to learn more about StretchLab, we'll get you in touch with our franchisees, and you can talk directly to them about their experiences. Now, if you were to, let's say, Google assisted stretching right now, whether you're in Portland or anywhere else in the Pacific Northwest, you'll find assisted stretching services already exist in most markets. There are a handful of other concepts out there in the assisted stretching space. You might find a local independent mom and pop business offering assisted stretching services. Chiropractors offer such services, physical therapists, personal trainers. But what's interesting is when you evaluate how they're providing these services, it's almost like a one-size-fits-all approach, kind of like getting a massage. Right? If you get a Swedish massage today, that massage is going to be the same massage if you go back 30 days from now. It's the same massage the person before you was getting. It's the same massage the person after you was getting. You might tell the massage therapist that your shoulders are tight, and they might spend a little bit more time there, but at the end of the day, they're taking you through the same movements over and over and over again. It's a one-size-fits-all approach. Now, in our experience, people come in for very different reasons. Right? People come in because they're trying to train for a marathon. We'll have people walk through your front door because they're trying to recover from a week of high-intensity interval training workouts at CrossFit. You'll have older people coming in that are not working out 6 days a week, but just want to be more mobile and be more flexible. You'll have younger high school athletes coming in. So mom and dad bring in their high school athlete because they're going through a week of two-a-day practices and they want them to recover. Or maybe they're going from one sport to the next, season after season, year after year. So having an assisted stretching routine will help them perform better and also mitigate any injuries from all that physical activity. So everybody's coming in for different reasons. Everybody also has a very different body. My right hamstring is always tighter than my left hamstring because of a previous injury. So the stretching that I need is going to be very different from everybody else. So here at StretchLab, we program our services to the individual. Everybody's going to have a different path of progression to get them from where they are today to where they want to be tomorrow. And by programming the services to the individual, we can provide a much stronger, more enjoyable customer experience. So again, this is an experiential business, not a transactional business. Again, a lot of the competition you'll find is more transactional. And is also somewhat clinical and sterile, kind of like walking into a doctor's office. Yes, you can go to your doctor and he can give you a stretch, but that's not enjoyable, right? It's not something you look forward to by any means. We also differentiate ourselves by offering that small group component that Emily touched upon at the top of the call. So we're the first and only brand to have a small group. So the typical size of a StretchLab location is about 1,500 square feet. Inside that space, there are about 10 benches. During the small group class, we can accommodate 6 people. So it's small enough where you're still getting a lot of one-on-one attention. You're just not being touched 100% of the time. But the benefit is you're getting an assisted stretch at a fraction of the cost. So a big part of why we added that small group component is because we want to continue to broaden this category. And I think what is also very appealing about StretchLab compared to other boutique fitness businesses, some of our boutique fitness businesses are very focused in their customer base. Brands like Club Pilates and AKT, you'll find 95% of the customers are female between the ages of 35 and 40. But here at StretchLab, you see young people, you see old people, you see men, you see women, you see athletes, you see non-athletes. So we think by adding that group component, it's going to help continue to broaden the category and just help us really appeal to a much wider demographic. We also have some pretty slick technology in place that we're building. This is built specifically for StretchLab. We're the only company that has this type of technology that allows us to track our members' progress. Same thing if you were to take a spinning class or a rowing class, after class you get an email that tells you, how you did and how you're progressing. We like to be able to communicate with our customers here at StretchLab about how their mobility is improving and how much more flexible they're becoming. Well, that gives you guys a little bit of insight into the StretchLab difference. Now we've got about 9 minutes here, so let me spend a little time too on our support center and give you just a little bit of insight of what your role would be as a franchisee. So here at StretchLab, as with all the exponential brands, I think a good way to describe our support center is that it is a complete franchise support and fulfillment model. So we will support you in every aspect of the business. As soon as you sign your franchise agreement, the first thing that happens is we begin your search for real estate. We've got a full-service in-house real estate team that will collaborate with vetted local brokers as well as vetted national brokers and identify ideal pieces of real estate within your preferred areas. And we're already proactively looking for space in most markets, so we're hyper aware of what's available. The real estate team will also spearhead the lease negotiation and review efforts to get you set up in a great lease. Once you've signed a lease, we have a construction team that will manage the entire construction project for you from start to finish. So your level of involvement during construction is just simply popping into your store, maybe FaceTiming with the construction team just to show them that the floors are in and the shelving's up, so to speak. So the intent here is we don't want franchisees have to put a lot of time and energy into figuring out, well, how do you find this store? How do you build your store? It's a very turnkey build-out solution. This way, the franchisee can focus their time on their grand opening, which is a big reason why our franchisees are ramping up very quickly. And again, as part of your discovery process, we'll get you in touch with franchisees so you can talk to them about how many members are signing up in pre-sales and during grand opening and then on an ongoing basis. Now, another key area of support is instructors. Not a single one of our franchisees, and we have close to 70 already, not a single one of them had any experience in stretching or even running a business before coming on board with StretchLab. So as part of our support center, we have a team of master instructors that will find your instructors for you. They'll be involved in the interviewing and auditioning process to make suggestions to you on which ones have the right skills and the right personality. And then we'll train and certify all of your instructors for you. And once that certification is complete, we will continue to support your instructors by delivering them new content. So we support your instructors and we'll continue to keep them up to date and in the know on important trends and techniques, which is part of how we fulfill our goal of being the best in category in our stretching services. We also have a full-service in-house ad team that will build you a turnkey executable marketing plan. All of your marketing assets, all of your marketing strategies, everything is professionally produced for you. So you don't have to hire copywriters, you don't have to hire graphic artists, you don't have to hire or outsource marketing professionals to put together your marketing plan or figure out, well, how am I supposed to get somebody through my front door? All that is professionally produced for you. And a lot of the marketing components and sales processes that we're following on the front end of StretchLab have already been tried and tested and trued for over a decade across a lot of our sister brands. So overall, when you take a step back and look at this opportunity, I think a great way to describe StretchLab is that it's a semi-absentee executive manager-run model. So the franchisee is fulfilling that role of being the executive. They'll hire a store manager that oversees their operations, and they'll have a team of master instructors. When you first get started, you might need as many as 6 to 8. And you have one store manager and then one front desk employee. So, in total, about 10 employees when you first get started. So relatively low number of employees too. Which again just translates into a relatively simple, straightforward business. Now, last thing I just wanted to touch upon here before we open it up to questions is the initial investment. So the total project cost, and this includes one-time expenses like the franchise fee and construction costs, but this also includes ongoing expenses like initial operating expenses and working capital. So this is a budget to secure your license, build your business, launch your business, and also help carry you through that timeline to profitability. So that total budget ranges from $193,000 on the low end to $273,000 on the high end. And the reason why we're seeing a difference there is primarily because of the differences in site-specific costs around construction and real estate and leasing space. And then we have our liquidity and net worth requirements in place, primarily because that's what landlords will be looking for in order to qualify for a lease. All right, so those are the main points I wanted to share with everyone
today. The conference has been unmuted. The conference has been unmuted.
Oh. Thanks, Justin. So I unmuted the lines if anybody has any questions. I'm hearing myself echo back. So. Okay, I think I got it. Yeah, so we have just a couple of minutes. If anybody on the call has any questions for Justin, or if you'd like to type them into the chat box, feel free. So one thing to point out is, and Justin, thank you so much. I do know, so most of today's attendees are in Oregon and Washington. And I do understand that some territories in Portland have already been awarded, but there is still a bit of territory left. And it sounds like because of Exponential Fitness that there's a lot of sister brands. So while StretchLab may make sense for someone, there's also additional opportunities in boutique fitness. Is that correct?
That's right. I mean, what's great about the platform of brands here is they all operate in a very similar way. So, if you're someone that has the skills to do a StretchLab, you could also do any of our other brands. It's just a different modality of fitness that we're offering.
Got it. Okay. And I know
and what I can do too is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you mentioned all the brands at the beginning of today's call, and if anybody has questions about those, I or Blair or Charlie or FranNet team is happy to expand on those if you're interested. But what were you saying, Justin?
Yeah, my suggestion was we can send out a link to our brand's website. I was actually going to try to pull it up, but I don't think I could do that through this conference call technology. But in any event, I can send out a link to our brand's website. It just gives a much more detailed, description of each brand, and there's also a lot of helpful, videos and information that, would provide a quick high-level overview into who they are and what they do.
Oh, that would be excellent. If you could send that to me after the call, and everyone who registered for today's webcast will get a follow-up email. I can include that link, along with a link to the recording if you would like to revisit this information or perhaps share it with a spouse. And if you're wondering, hey, I'm interested in maybe even in learning more or learning about other Expo brands, the next step is to just keep in conversation with your FranNet team. If you haven't already, I would invite you to complete the PFA, which is a personal franchise assessment. It's kind of like a personality test, and essentially what that will help us do is to identify, which of these Expo brands might be the best fit for you. We can also give deeper insights into your personality and values as it relates to business and franchise ownership, and that is a complimentary opportunity for anybody on today's call, and I'm including the link there. It will also be included in the follow-up email. And if you're not sure if you want to take that, Charlie, Blair, I will reach out to you. We'd love to just stay in contact and support you in your goals in whatever way serves you best. So everyone, Justin and everyone, thank you so much for your time and joining us today. I showed 12:30, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Justin, again, thank you. And everybody have a great day.
Thank